Hello.
Hello.
Bring
How
bring
are
your screen
you?
down just a little bit. Bring your screen down just a little bit so I can get your whole face. There we go. Oh wait. There we up.
Hold on.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Ms. Vanessa Smith said, hello, beautiful.
Hey, sis. Hello.
You look beautiful today. Are you happy
Thank
to be
you.
here?
I'm sorry.
I said, are you happy to be here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
we are going to get started. Well, I know I said 7 p.m. I should give, because it's 6:55, right? We should give a couple more people some time to come in. Well, I'll just start it off with the introduction again. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is JLDOMOND, and I am the author of Spirit of a Woman book, which also have about 8 contributors. And I started the Spirit of a Woman series because I wanted to take the pages out of this book and make it a conversation. So every week I'm trying to have at least one young woman who will discuss her story so that we can get inspiration for our own personal journeys. So don't forget to follow me on IG at IAMJLDOMOND, DOMOND, like my Facebook, and go to my website because we got merch, we got a whole bunch of stuff, plethora of things going on my website. So please go to design2create.org. All right? All right. So now we're about to start the party. And today I have with me Mrs. Janice Parkins. Hello. Give me
Hello.
hearts for Miss Janice Parkins. Make her feel welcome into the Spirit of a Woman series.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're just going to jump right into it. So tell the people, look at the hearts. Do you see all the love that you get right now?
Oh, love you too.
So tell the people a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your military background, your personal, your mother, and also what you do now.
Okay, well, actually, I have been a surgical technician for 43 years old, for 43 years, since 1980. I trained in the military. I've gone several places in the military, so many to name. I am a mother of 2 handsome, wonderful sons. I am a wife of a great husband. I have lots of siblings, huge family, and I am also in the process of almost being retired permanently from working. Yes.
We got some retirees in the building. So all the retirees, show us some love. She about to join the retirement club. I only pray that I can see that and get into the retirement club. Hey, Javania. We have Miss Javania stuck in the building. Okay, so first question. Why did you choose to agree to contribute to the book? I know that you can be a private person, so I want to know, why did you choose to open up and be vulnerable in this book?
Lisa, I have been not speaking about my situation in Desert Storm. The family hardly knows anything about what I've really done over there, what I've seen. I've had pictures taken. You guys have seen videos that I've made and sent back home while I was in Desert Storm. I just recently, over a year ago, been diagnosed with PTSD. And what led me to going to see a psychologist was because I know I had some weird personal things going on with me that I've just buried. So when I went to go speak with the psychologist, I was diagnosed within 10 minutes of speaking with him with PTSD. We sat in that office for probably about an hour and 15 minutes. And this was during COVID time. So I sat in one corner and the doctor sat in another corner. And 10 minutes into my conversation, he started it like, just tell me about your experience in Desert Storm. I didn't even know where to start. I didn't know how to start because I really never spoke about it. It's very emotional. And for me to contribute to, and first of all, thank you for even asking me to be a part of this. I appreciate that. First, I was kind of leery on whether I was going to, participate or not. And then after just thinking about some things, I'm like, why not? Just talk about it, because that was something I have not done, just in bits and pieces. So that is the main reason why I have contributed to your book, and feeling honored that I was even asked to do that. And I appreciate that. And it helped me. It helped me when I sat that night, when you called me. And I think I gave you an answer maybe about a week later, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it or not. And then I just sat, before I gave you an answer, I just sat and wrote about some things that I've gone through. Next thing you know, I was like at 10 pages.
Yeah, you were. I remember getting that. I remember getting that.
Yes. And I was just all over the place with it. There was like no real title, no summary, no plot, no conclusion. I was just all over the place with what I was writing, because it was so much going through my mind. Like I was just trying to get it all out on paper, like in one, all at once. So a lot of my thoughts were all over the place, but I did manage to just say, you know what? This feels good to write about it. I'm going to speak about it. I'm going to send this to my niece and let her decide what she wants to do with it.
And it was amazing. Let me tell you, when I was reading it, I heard your voice. It created, you are a very good writer. Like I saw what you were going through. And just a quick note for people listening, one thing that I definitely used when I was going through my shadow work, and that Janice has, Aunt Janice, that's my auntie, so I ain't going to, I still can't disrespect, even though I'm interviewing you, I gotta add the respect on the name. So my Aunt Janice, she journaled. So for those of you who are trying to figure out how to start working on your trauma, maybe you're not comfortable talking to anyone, maybe you're not, don't have the money to see a therapist or anything right now, the first thing that you can start doing is getting it out on paper. So that is definitely a good tool for people who are trying to find a way on how to express the pain that they keep bottled up inside. So let's go into Desert Storm, okay? Because first of all, you're a woman representing for Desert Storm, and that is an amazing thing. And you said you are a mother of two, and you had one baby when you first had to go to Desert Storm. So I just want you to talk a little bit about that. But before I have you answer it, I want you to read the the third and fourth paragraph in your story. Her story is called PTSD. For everyone who has their book, you can go to PTSD, and that is the story that was written by Ms. Janice Parkins. So right now, that's where we're at.
So would you like me to start with the military is dominated by men in power?
Yep.
Okay. The military is dominated by men in power. So how do you leave your 2-year-old son with your husband to go fight for your country? Well, I did. Not only am I missing my parents, my spouse, friends, but my child, that's enough to drive anyone insane. Add in the night And this is what I mean by when I was writing, I was all over the place. Nothing's in order. These are just thoughts that was just coming to my mind. It was very hurtful, was, to go back in that time. But I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to throw that in there. So that's enough to drive anyone insane. Now, add in the nightly bomb flashing of bright lights from explosions in the sky. Let's not forget the dead bodies, decapitated heads, soldiers burned to death, and the smell of the animals and the surrounding environment. You carry the guilt of knowing your family is fearing for your life while you are saddened for having to leave them as they wait for that one phone call to say, Mom, I'm safe. Let everyone know I love you. I love them all. My job title in the Army was 91D10. 91 Delta 10 is a surgical technician job title. Can you envision what I must have experienced?
Okay, so let's stop there. Military woman, fresh mom. This is not the second child, this is the first child. How old is the child?
Gerard had just turned 2 years old.
And how old were you?
I was 30 actually, 30 years old.
30-year-old woman going into Desert Storm with a 2-year-old child, and this is a military family, so the husband is military too. So we're used to hearing that the husband goes to war and the woman goes home. Here we have a whole total gender role flip, where the woman is going to war and the husband is staying at home. First of all, what was that like? You said also in the book that you were helping other children while knowing you, quote unquote, abandoned your child. What did that how did you deal with that mentally?
You know, that word abandoned, I really felt like I did that. I really felt I did that because the morning of my unit meeting to leave that morning, Al and I had to decide how we were going to.
It's okay. It's okay.
We had to decide how we were going to drop Gerard off at the daycare center or take him to, we had this, to the gym was where all the families met. And my first instinct was, let's take him to the daycare center. And driving from the daycare center to the gymnasium where we all had to meet at that morning, I wanted to go back to get him. But once I got signed in, I could not leave. And then I seen other families there with their young children. And I'm like, I want to go get my son now. But I couldn't leave. So that was the morning that I actually got deployed. And that was how that day started, by me taking my son, him not even knowing that he's not going to see me when 5 o'clock comes in the evening, and when his dad is going to pick him up, when it's normally his mother is going to pick him up. And what was he going to be thinking about? Like, okay, mom's not here for an hour, then bedtime comes, you wake up, mom is not there. So when the war actually started, first of all, my unit was there, the 47th Combat Support Hospital. We were there before the war started, during the war, and we stayed to clean up after the war. So we were there for 7.5 months. the majority of our casualties were children, and they were Iraqi civilians, children. And a lot of them had been hit with shrapnel. It was, I mean, these kids were like 3, 4 years of age.
So they were like the age of your son.
Very close, yes. And it was just so hard to, take care of these kids and not think about my son. I think about Gerard. And the main thing was that I had to focus on my job and trying to save these babies, these young children. Also having to trying to stay alive. We in a war situation now. The bombs are going off. The helicopters are coming in like crazy. They're running out with stretchers to get bring the casualties in. We had 2 beds in one operating room. We had 2 operating rooms. So we were able to operate on 4 people at one time. And we would have 2 OR beds in one room. And these are, keep in mind, these are tents. These are like, they're not like canvas tents. They actually did a very good job. They're called dep meds. And the dep meds are they like metal boxes almost, that we put together with our hands. And we put this hospital up in 12 hours at nighttime with red chem lights, because you don't want the enemy, you can't have bright lights. You don't want the enemy to know where you're at. But we had that hospital working, operational, functional in 12 hours at nighttime. The hospital consisted of 2 ORs, a central supply where everything was sterilized for surgery, instruments and other materials that you need. We had a patient administration. We had a area set up for recovering patients, casualties in this case. We had a ward set up for them to sleep overnight.
Okay.
We had a blood bank. We had a lab. We had everything that a hospital has. And we put this up at nighttime in 12 hours. So, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, was there ever a time while you were taking care of these children and thinking about your child where you may have broken down and was like, this is too much, I gotta step away? Or were you able to, just detach completely and just be in this moment and not think of anything else because you're in survival mode? Like,
I never detached completely. I tried that strategy. It never worked. I was told actually one day that I need to go and just sit down in a corner and just try to get a little break, because I did have an emotional breakdown. My emotional breakdown, the crazy thing was that I was never really afraid. My whole goal was to just get back home with all my body parts, and to see my family again. That was my goal. There were times when I tried to detach. And then the question is, why are you detaching? Because you're trying to not think about your son. And I know, yes, I have a husband at home. I have my mom and my dad. I have my sisters, my brothers, my nieces, my nephews, all my family. But my son, Gerard, was 2 years of age. And I didn't know if I was ever going to see him again. So at one point, you don't detach, but by the grace of God, prayers work. prayers all day, all night, all morning. Carried my Bible in my rucksack. It stayed with me. And that is what got me through my time during the war. And we were able to make phone calls, not during the war, but before the war and after the war. We were able to, like, once in a while go to this area where the phone center was for all the units, you know, with long
Yeah.
lines, get 5 minutes, whatever, to speak to your family member. Those were the things that kept me going to look forward to. So my family knew that I was okay,
Gotcha.
so they could hear my voice.
So we do have, you know, we're in a society where women are definitely doing their thing. And you know, sometimes they are the head of the household. And I know probably a lot of single mothers have this guilt of leaving their child because they have to go to work or leaving them with a nanny. So what type of advice or, you know, perspective can you give women who may feel guilty for leaving their child at home or with a nanny? It may not be as severe as your situation, but even the everyday woman still feels that guilt for leaving their child, especially with working women being a big thing, you know, now. What advice would you give those women for doing what they have to do, but also neglecting, well, not neglecting, but having to slight a little bit the quote unquote how a woman should be in society, which is the mother at home with the child? How can a woman cope with that guilt that she may deal with?
Well, I'm not going to say to not feel guilty, because you will feel guilty.
Okay.
And whether you're going to war or not, just any regular, ordinary job that you do when you drop your child off at their daycare center for 8, 10, 12 hours a day that you don't see your child, every mother probably, they should feel guilty. But we have to work. We have to survive. We have to take care of our children. So my role, my husband was in the military as well, but he didn't get to go to Desert Storm. And I'm like, I remember on that plane that when we left, the first day we were deployed, and I'm on that plane and I'm thinking, how did this happen? Why am I on this plane and my husband isn't on this plane? Why am I not at home with my son? But then the reality of it is that I joined the military without my own family, without a husband and without children. And that was my choice. And I never really thought about even having a family. I didn't even know how long I was going to stay in the military. So you just go one day, you take one day at a time, and you just, you know, you don't want to feel guilty, but it's a natural thing to feel guilty. My advice to most women, you have to do what you have to do. But this is a time where COVID has given people so much knowledge on how to be self-sufficient, where there are so many jobs now where you can actually work from home and make 6 digits a year. You may not like those type of jobs, but you have that option at least now, where you can work at home today. And I just think that if you have children, you know, if you don't have children yet and you plan on having children, like most people don't really plan. Some people do plan under certain circumstances, but most people do not plan having children. But if you are thinking about having children, you really should be planning, because it is very hard to raise kids today. And if you're not a stay-at-home mom, your child will not be with you for 8 to 12 hours a day. And some Some moms may have guilt, some moms may not have guilt.
Right.
I did have the guilt.
Right.
I still have the guilt of leaving Gerard. I still have that guilt. That is a big part of my PTSD.
Oh, okay.
That is a big part.
I wonder, because I want to wait before we get to PTSD. So you're mentioning, just like you said, why am I on this plane and not him? In society, things are a little different now. People are a little bit more flexible about the stay-at-home dads. But back then, I think the roles were a little bit more defined, where if you're talking about a child, it is the woman that's likely at home. Were there any struggles, issues, anything as far as Uncle Al being a stay-at-home dad with this little baby? Like, people are afraid to leave their husbands with knowing that he's a good man, and still afraid to leave their babies with their husbands because they're like, you don't know what to do. You don't know, but you had no choice, and he had no choice. So were there any fears about his capabilities? Were there any issues about him feeling in any way emasculated that he now had to be a stay-at-home dad? Did you face any of those things?
I had no fears. I had no worries. And I knew Al was very capable of taking care of his son. That I knew. And I have to add this. Shout outs to my family, my mother, my father, all my sisters who offered to take Gerard and bring him to New York so they could help take care of him while I was away, and Al, because he was working. And Al thought about it and he said, I can't do that because then Gerard would be away from both of his parents.
Let me just take a pause in there. First of all, shout out to our cousin Dwayne. He said the squad was on deck. But I want to say this, young Black men, or just young men in general, let's do away with this feeling like you're babysitting your child when your child is left with you. As a father, the child is yours, just like the mother's, and you're just doing your fatherly duties. There's no need to act like you're taking a woman's position for taking care of your son or your daughter when it's asked for you to step up. This is a team helpmateship, okay? And what Miss Janice and her husband Al is showing us is that when it comes to gender roles, sometimes it's just about filling in for each other. It's not specifics all the time. Sometimes it's you do this week, I do that next week, and we switch up. So just find what's best for your relationships and don't get caught up in the confinements of quote unquote what society thinks you should do. Because I'm tired of seeing men feel like they babysitting their child. Okay.
Correct.
And women, trust the husband or the baby daddy with the child. Okay, let him have it. Let him learn.
That's so true, Lisa. That is so true. And for the record, I did not get a chance to potty train Gerard. Al did.
Oh, wow.
And I used to get letters from the daycare center saying that your husband has passed potty training 101 flawlessly. So they would send me pictures of Gerard on the little toilet in the daycare center. And, and the teachers in the daycare center really applauded Al. Really applauded him. And I know it was not easy for him, but he never complained about it. He always made me feel while I was over in Desert Storm through letters. He always made me feel secure, not to worry. Gerard was fine. I had so many fans. And I will say this, my sister Verna was my most supportive. I call her a fan, pen pal, not my sister. She is my sister, but her devotion with her school and her kids in the school Every last one of those children wrote me an individual letter, and I took the time to write back every child, every student, an individual letter. And I still have all my mail from Desert Storm. 31 years ago, 31 plus years ago, I still have all my mail. I have this Christmas tree that had lights on it that my sister Verna sent me during Christmas. I still have that tree. It doesn't work, but I still have that tree. So, you know, Al did a great job taking care of Gerard. And I was never concerned that he will not do his part as a father, and that I never feared that Gerard would be neglected. Or my concern was, what is going through his mind? Like, what is he thinking? Like, where's my mom?
Right.
This is going on a month now. Like, where's my mother? Yeah. You know, and so I dealt with that struggle the whole time. I still deal with that struggle. I still have conversations with Gerard about that.
Ooh, that definitely is the PTSD.
Yes, because so like tonight, to speak about it, I had anxiety at work today because I didn't want to get emotional. I didn't want to get emotional because I know that every time I discuss this, when I'm talking to Gerard, he's like, Mom, it's good. Mom, be good. Like, you did what you had to do. Like, come on, like, it's okay. But that guilt will destroy you. And I should not have been feeling guilty, but I can't let that go. I don't know how to relieve that.
Well, the therapy is going to definitely be a great thing. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because in our community, especially people that are like 50 and older, y'all were not raised about therapy. Y'all were raised, pray and leave it to the Lord. Okay? Exactly. Or brush it under the rug, forget about it, and keep it pushing, because that's what a strong woman do, right? So even you decided to take the therapy was probably a big deal, something that you weren't even like, you probably kept close to your bosom for a while too, because that was new territory for you, even seeing a therapist. So talk a little bit about why, because when we talk about PTSD, to me, I feel like everybody has PTSD. There's something that happened in everybody's childhood that has created some form of trauma, and you brought it into your adulthood and don't even realize it. You're wondering why you got toxic relationships. You're wondering why you have certain hangups, and it's because you don't even know that you've internalized things that happened as a child. So I want you to discuss a little bit what going to therapy has done for you, and just the community being a little bit more open to therapy.
Well, for me, I didn't have much of a choice to go, because certain things that I never thought I would admit would cause conflicts in my marriage. So, like, Al will say something like, you know, I don't want to get into all like real deep details and stuff, but just to keep it on the surface, kind of like, it could be freezing cold outside. I cannot be closed in. I can't be closed in. So it could be 2 degrees outside. My window in the bedroom, if I'm in the bedroom, wherever I'm at, a door has to be opened, a window has to be opened. My son Jarrell one day, was riding with me, and he's like, Mom, you have the heat on and the window down.
There's a lot of people in this chat that do that. Trust me, freezing their man out.
But mine is, my reason for it is because that closed-in feeling of when we went into the bunkers for a couple of nights, we were packed in these bunkers like sardines on top of one another. All the enemy had to do was throw one grenade in that bunker, and we were all dead. We'd have been all dead. So there was so many men and women who freaked out in the bunkers. So to be closed in like that, that's another percentage of my PTSD. So it's not, you can wait all your life before you realize that you have a problem. You know, like you could just go on every day like nothing's wrong. People may say things to you that you feel like, yeah, right, okay, whatever, you know. But then when you have maybe a couple of different people saying the same thing, it's like, maybe you really need to check yourself out. It's not gonna hurt. So let me make this appointment with the VA right now, find out what's going on with me. And like I told you from the beginning, 10 minutes in the conversation, he told me to stop. And he was like, okay, you have PTSD.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you feel like, how long have you been going at this point?
It's been a year and, a year and like 2 months now.
Okay, and do you think that it's working?
It helps, but that guilt, that's something I have to do on my own. I have to work on that on my own. I don't think there's any, I don't take any medicine.
Okay.
And if there was, I don't think there's any medicine that would help that. I could talk about it all day long, but as a mother, leaving a 2-year-old son who, with no explanation because he doesn't understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. And when I came back, he didn't know who I was. When I came
Mommy's
back,
in the chat. Give Auntie Janice some love, because I'm pretty sure all of them can understand, all the mamas in the chat.
Yeah.
And your son loves you to death. So I know the guilt is a mental thing, but just know you've done an amazing job with your children from the outside looking in. So I know that nothing no one can say is going to fix that for you, because that's something you have to work on your own. But I just want you to let you know that from someone on the outside in.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. And you would think that nothing could get crazier than Desert Storm. But then you went into as a surgical technician, you live in Pennsylvania, you worked in a hospital, and the great pandemic of COVID hit. Now, comparing Desert Storm to what you experienced during your being on the frontline worker of COVID pandemic, how similar are those situations for you, either mentally or emotionally, on a scale of 1 to 10? Or was one like not even a comparison?
I will tell you this. I said it earlier.
Okay.
I wasn't afraid when I was in Desert Storm. I wasn't afraid. I prayed. My main focus was to get back home.
Okay.
When COVID hit, when COVID first hit, and all the deaths that I have witnessed, let me tell you something. I was never so frightened of anything. But with COVID, I was devastated. I could remember going to my supervisor and saying to her, I am petrified of catching COVID. She says, I know we all are. I said, no, I'm petrified. Like, you don't even understand. I am scared to death of catching COVID because there were so many people dying. And everyone who pretty much had it, sooner or later you found out they passed away. It was hitting home, like with my sister Francine, some of her friends. It started hitting home with some of my friends and their parents, like my friends at work, my coworkers, and some of their parents, and then you started hearing about siblings, and I was just so afraid. Oh my God, I was so afraid to just not get this, just not to get that virus. And I didn't get it for a long time. And they spoke about underlying ailments, and I have chronic asthma and severe asthma, actually. And that was one of the ailments that everyone was concerned about, if someone had gotten COVID. And just watching, like, we use our PACU, our recovery room area, as an ICU unit. So I'm in the OR side, and I'm just peeking through the glass, which is an area where I used to be able to just push the plate on the wall, the double doors open, and I could just walk up in there. Now this area is kind of barricaded. And that,
It's like a hazard, a
yes,
containment system.
yes. And the entrance that I'm used to just walking through was no longer an entrance. So, but they had these two rectangle glass in the door where you could see through and you're still inside. And every day I would come in straight from the locker room after changing my clothes, and I would walk up to ICU, which was our PACU, and I look through the glass, and I'll be like, "Oh, Mr. So-and-so is still here," and it was just packed. And as soon as one patient passed, they was bringing another one in that bed, and it just became like a norm of every day coming to work. We weren't doing any cases but emergency cases. And I can remember that we had a trach, and of all the cases, a trach, where you're right there in the airway. And I was going to have to be the one that scrubbed that case. And I went to my manager, and I was like, I can't do this. I was petrified. I was petrified.
What was it like going home?
Oh my God.
Did you quarantine yourself? Like, what did you do?
I slept in a separate room, but the procedure for getting to that room was coming through the garage door. My bathrobe is hanging up in the garage. I strip my clothes in the garage. It's placed in a plastic bag. It goes immediately in the washing machine. I go immediately to the dryer, the shower, change my clothes. I was in my room. I was in his room. Never even got to hug my son, my husband, for months, because Al has underlying ailments, and I did not want to be responsible. I did not want anything to happen to him, let alone have more guilt placed on me for bringing something home to my husband, and he ends up on the vent. And even Jarrell, anyone in my family for that matter.
Yeah.
So COVID was Desert Storm was, it was an experience. It was a dangerous experience, but I don't think I may have gotten scared a couple of times, but I was never just like fearful like that. But
Okay.
COVID was a different story for me. It was a different story for me. I remember the first time I had to do surgery, to assist on surgery on a COVID patient. I had 3 hats on. I had my N95, 2 masks over. I was in my PAPA, the hooded, the vented hood, that really prevents you from, helps you, it keeps you really safe from COVID. I had on boots up to my thighs almost, and then I had shoe covers. Oh my God. I had on 2 gowns. I was just,
Yeah, you taking all the precautions. Shout out to all the frontline workers out here, whether you are a teacher, gas station worker, hospital, firefighter. Shout out to y'all. We still are thankful and grateful for your services. The person working in the supermarket, because those were the people that were still working while we were all home. So, you know, be careful when you're looking at people. You go to a supermarket and you're like, oh, you're just a cashier, and you know you're thinking that they're less than, because those are the very people that were keeping this economy and this world moving. When the quote unquote people that thought they were better for having corporate jobs and sitting in the office, you know, couldn't do anything to help anybody. Shout out departments to the homeless services. Yes, and that's even crazier. Doing works in a homeless shelter, and you're dealing with, you know, homeless people, and you don't know what, you know, could be contracted if they're coming into your building as a new person during that time. So shout out to all of the frontline workers in any capacity. We appreciate y'all to this day, for real.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, so you have been through a lot in your journey, and you still young. Okay, so I heard that you are finally about to give yourself a little break from all the craziness that you've been putting yourself through. Tell the people what's about to happen for you.
August 31st, I will be officially retired from working permanently. August 31st. What is that? What's today? The 12th? What's that, like 15 days, 16 days?
Like 18 days? I think like 18 or 19 days. Yes.
Who's counting anymore?
Yes, in 19 days. Look, ma'am, and not only, so look, let me just say this. So when we are going through journeys, remember there's different chapters, and Miss Janice Parkins is a great definition of so many chapters in our lives and so many new beginnings, you know, from the desert storm, and then beginning again with her baby, and then, you know, creating this life of stability, and then having to deal with the COVID and the fear, and finding her place of stability again and peace with this retirement. But not only that, now she's moving forward with her health. She's not stopping. She's not saying, I'm gonna just retire and that's it. So I heard that you've been out here on these streets doing things. You taking pictures and posting. So what have you been doing to prepare yourself for retirement? Let people know it never stops. Life never stops, no matter how old you get. It's about how you make it work for you. So talk about some things that you've been doing for you.
So some things I've been doing for me recently, I should have been doing for me some years ago. And that is getting my health together and getting back in shape like I was in the military.
Okay.
And I am down 21 pounds.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love it. Yes. Come through. No, wait. I wanna get to that for a second, because we're definitely in the era of self-care. Everybody is like self-care, right? So
yes.
You just made the comment and you said, I'm doing something that I should have been doing. Why is it something that you weren't doing before? Why do you think?
The same old excuse. I'm tired when I get home from work. I've been on my feet all day. I just want to get home, get my shower, get into bed, watch TV. And I've done that for so many years.
Okay.
But I also got tired of going to the department stores and trying on clothes for special occasions. And Smitty's party was what was the straw that broke the camel's back for me, when we had to wear yellow, and I think it was yellow and black or whatever. And I went out looking for this yellow top, and nothing. I hated everything that I tried on. I was like, okay, this is, I'm not doing this anymore. I've been saying and that's why I didn't clothes shop for a long time, because I didn't like how anything fitted me. And I just said, you know what, enough is enough, Janice. Stop talking about it, just do it. You're gonna have to get in that gym. You're gonna have to change your whole diet. You're gonna have to leave the alcohol that you like to drink alone. You are gonna have to get out here in the streets start walking, get in that gym, start toning, and love yourself like you really do love yourself.
Talk that talk.
That's right, because when I look in the mirror now, I've always loved myself, but I'm satisfied with myself. And that is the difference. And that is the difference. And I do know, like the first day I posted, I was in the gym. I was like, oh Lord, what did I do? Because if I start slacking next month, oh, people gonna be like, okay. So I knew when I posted that working out every day, at least 6 days a week, that I was totally committed to it. And now that I didn't want to, first my whole goal was when I retire, I'm getting in shape, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And Jarrell said to me, my youngest son, Jarrell says to me, Mom, why are you going to wait till you retire? I mean, is there a time period for you to start getting in shape? Like, you know, and I was like, well, actually, yes, there is. And then I woke up that morning. It was the day after Memorial's Day. And I just got up, the sun was shining, and I just got up and I said, you know what? I'm going on the morning walk. And I went on that walk. Then
and been walking ever since, like Forrest Gump.
Every day. Yeah. I've been jogging and walking, not just walking. Like I'm running. Like I run until when I get tired, I just walk. I go up steep hills. I challenge myself. And actually, Lisa, it is a daily routine. It is a part of my
lifestyle.
Just like I have to get up and go to work every morning, I now have to get up and go walk or go to that gym.
I love that. I love that you said that lifestyle, because a lot of times people want to change things. So they say, let me do this diet. The problem I have with the word diet is it has a connotation that I'm doing this for a certain amount of time. And then you wonder why you don't keep whatever change or progress you made. When you say I'm going to change my lifestyle, that means this is a permanent thing. So for anybody that's having struggles with the diet or committing or discipline, first of all, Miss Janice is, you know, she has some age going on, and if she can commit and she can discipline and she can do this, we okay, because I know I am not disciplined when it comes to working out. So you are inspiration. I see Sister Sharice Wilson, because she's on here, and I love that she posts about her squatting challenges.
Yes.
To see the people that are older than me working out, it's like I don't have any excuse except for laziness, you know? So we have to check when it comes to self-care, how much are we willing to discipline and sacrifice to be who we want to be, or are we just going to talk about it? Because it's easy for people to talk about it. And like you said, once you posted it, it felt like, okay, somebody gonna hold me accountable. And if you need that, get yourself an accountability partner. I see like a couple of people, like they'll tag people on their workouts, and you know they're going back and forth. That's a good way. We're in an internet world. You can virtually walk with someone on your phone talking to them. So if you need accountability partner, do it. But I think we need to start taking out the words diet and start putting in changings of lifestyles. You feel me? So kudos to you on that. I am proud of you.
Thank you.
Julia said you have the McGill strength. Your father was a Navy man. All right.
That's right, Auntie. That's right, Aunt Julia.
Sister McGill, your sister Francine said she's been walking for a month now, 2 to 3 miles a day. I need to get my life together. What am I doing?
My sister Francine was one of the phone calls. If you, I don't know if you see my page where I posted, I have received a couple of phone calls and the same morning. Yeah. I have inspired them. Well, being that Francine let the cat out of the bag, because I wasn't going to say anything. She was one of the calls.
That is what's up. And that's another thing, people, and that's why I want us to share. You see how she shared her journey? When we share in these spaces, you don't know who, like they always say, people be watching and they don't say nothing. So you never know who you are inspiring. So don't feel bad or fear posting. People not going to care. Even if it's one person that's inspired by what you're doing, if you feel compelled to share, share. okay? Because we need that. And to watch your journey from going through all that, and now one thing I'm seeing is no matter how old you're getting, you're committed to continuing to grow. And that
Yes.
is a message. No matter how old you are, there is
Mm-hmm.
always room for improvement and always room for growth. So I don't want to hear not a damn person over 50 or 60 telling me that's just the way I is. Okay?
Exactly.
Because
That's
you
right.
need to change mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically always. Because the time that you start growing, you should be under the ground. Okay?
That's right. That's right.
So
Yes.
I want to ask you, with all these things that you have experienced, what would you tell your younger self?
My younger self.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. My younger self. Okay. What would I tell my younger self? I would probably tell my younger self. That's really a tough question. It really is. I um I would probably tell my younger self. Let me just say this. It's a hard question because what I want to say now, if I had went that route, I wouldn't be the person I am today. So
Okay.
the younger person, I was always like a go-getter. Like, I always wanted to challenge myself in everything. And when I went into the military, that commercial back in the 70s, be all that you can be in the army. And I was like, oh, you want to venture? Yeah, I want to venture.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you joined the Army for adventure.
I joined the Army for a career. I went to New York City Community College for a year and a half,
Okay.
and I was bored.
Got
And I wasn't, I really just wasn't really feeling it.
it. Okay.
Like my first semester, I think I passed 2 classes out of all the other classes because it was like a continuation of high school.
Got it.
So yeah,
Okay.
although I graduated on a high honor roll in high school.
Right.
So when I went to New York City Community College, which is now called Technical, what is it called
New York
now?
City Tech. City Tech, probably. Yep.
Tech now. Okay.
I don't know.
So
I'm thinking.
it's something technical, something. But anyway, so I was seeing a lot of people that I was in high school with,
Okay.
and it was kind of like a continuation of high school. But I was never like I was always a loner anyway.
Okay.
I had a couple of friends, but I was never like that person I was never popular, never popular,
Okay.
never. And it wasn't by choice. That's just the way it was. And I was really okay with that. But I always wanted to just not be a follower, be an individual, be myself, and just be true to myself, actually. And I, that telling that younger person, I know I'm going back and forth, but what I know now, what I would have told my younger self is to do it all over again. And I'm gonna say that because, and I'm not even gonna say with the exception of leaving Gerard at the age of 2, I'm not even gonna say with the exception of that, because that has put me in a whole different mind frame of not just appreciation of life, but when you choose to do something in your life, you really need to be totally committed to it. And especially if it's putting food on your table, the military was, and I was committed to it. I was also committed to being a mother.
Okay.
And I did the best job that I could possibly do, even just when I was away,
Right.
like it wasn't much I could do, but it was the best I could do. So my younger inner self, because of what I know, what I've gone through,
Mm-hmm.
it made me the person. I'm a very emotional person, and people do not know that about me. People think I'm
Okay.
hard and I'm this and that, but I'm not.
Usually, hard people are super emotional. That's why they have to create the hard shell. But
Yeah,
I
I'm a
digress.
very I'm a very emotional person, and I don't have a lot of time for, I don't have any time for just crazy. I like peace in my life, and I try to keep it that way. It's not always that way, but I don't like drama.
Right.
And I don't have a lot of girlfriends, but the ones that I have, they're like best friend 1, best friend 2, best friend 3,
Right.
and I put them in those categories according to what year I met you in, because we have never had arguments. We get along fine. We don't speak every day. We respect one another. We grown. We don't make each other feel, bad or whatever. But I just think that on my choices that I made in my life, they were not all great, but I'm glad I made those choices.
And I think that you were struggling with giving that answer, and you didn't have to, because what I want sometimes for people to understand is that, and I've learned this, and that I had to learn it with my therapy, there's a lot of resentment and bitterness that you can feel for things that you may have experienced, for things that you may have been out of your control. But then when you look at the person that you are due to those situations, you're like, well, I love who I am. So if these things shaped who I am, how mad am I going to remain at the things that have either happened to me or decisions I've made? And so I think that is a very powerful thing too, because a lot of people get hung up on if I, should I could have been this far. And it's like, sometimes, that old saying, you are exactly where you are supposed to be, So I think that someone definitely needed to hear that. And I'm glad that you said that. I know you felt like, is this because, you may not have felt that that was the appropriate response to give, but I think that was a great response to remind people, like, don't regret the things you've been through, because those are the things that built your character, So that is beautiful, and we all love your character. And just like last week, I want to give a little something away, because we're about to wrap up, but I want to give something away. So I'm going to read a poem from the book. But a question that I want to see who has the answer to is, please tell me Miss Janice Parkins' title in the military, as well as her job position in the hospital. It's the same thing. Trust the process, like Miss Cherie said. So while I read this poem, and if you're right, none of the sisters can answer this question, all right? What is her job title? Okay, so the poem that I have today for you guys is dedicated to Miss Janice Parkins and everyone listening, and it is called Don't Take Away My Humanity. The Black woman's culture says, whatever's going on, move forward. Cry on the inside, but dare not show it. Our mind, body, and soul never really feel at rest. We're either making sure the children are taken care of, or the men we love feel supported at best. And let's not forget the outside daily responsibilities that keep us tasked. Watch our tone with every word, so corporate world don't paint the angry Black woman mask. We get praised for always staying in the fight, but I don't want to fight no more. I want to be allowed to wake up and say, today, I don't feel strong. I can't handle this. Please take it off my plate. I'm the matriarch and the magistrate, forced to be a shell of myself, recurring theme of being slighted in the law of reciprocity. Before bottoming out like bad investments, take stock of your emotional capacity. It's not that others want to take advantage, but when you don't set boundaries, it's hard for people not to take you for granted. Society makes it acceptable for a woman to cry, but not to rest. And we're so robotic, we don't listen to our bodies when it sends the message. Don't be ashamed of your mental, emotional, or spiritual breakdowns. You are human. You were born with emotions and flesh. The world can set their expectations, but it's up to you to absorb it. Readjust your mental lens. Don't let them dictate how you function. I know it's easier said than done, but you gotta start somewhere. As cliche as it sounds, it begins with self-care. We all have to bear a cross. Discard the concept that everyone's burden is more important than yours. Embrace your humanity. Take back your humanity. operate in your humanity. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you. That was awesome.
Now, did anyone get the answer? Did anyone get the answer? Okay, wait, I got one. I got one. Hold on. I see only, okay, Miss Denise. Miss Denise is the winner. She's a surgical technician. Yes. Congratulations, Miss Denise. You have joined the group of winners. Miss Tiana, week 1, Miss Denise, week 2. Thank you for joining us. Miss Janice Parkins, Mrs. Janice Parkins, do you have any last words for the people?
I just want to say to you first, thanks for giving me this opportunity again. It does help to speak on it. I still have some work to do with the guilt part of leaving your child, you know, for your career. And for any other woman who struggles with, who's in their 20s or 30s, just working and want to have a family in the future, just really plan it. Try to plan it as much as you possibly can. Just, you know, and I just want to say that. And to all my family, I love you guys. Thanks for all your support when I was in Desert Storm. And I know I mentioned Verna's name, but I did have a lot of support. I did, but I had to mention her because she was just as supportive as my husband or more. And so I appreciate that. And I'm just grateful. My mom's favorite word, I'm grateful. I'm feeling grateful. I'm feeling blessed. That's Aunt Julia's favorite word. I'm grateful and feeling blessed. I have a couple of more weeks before I'm retiring. And
yes, happy retirement.
Thank you.
I'm feeling fancy. I'll give away one more gift if you could give me the date that Miss Janice Parkins is retiring. Okay? The date. And you got to do it before I finish this live. So, thank you everyone for joining for episode 2 of Spirit of a Woman, this series. Next week, we're going to have an amazing guest who I know you all will love. She is not only amazing, she's also my mom. I said none of the sisters. It's too late. A sister answered. It's over. It's over. It's over. The sister answered. Nobody else could win because she already put the answer up there. So you gotta tune in next week if you want to try to win a prize. Remember, follow me on IG at IAMJLDOMOND, the same as my Facebook. And don't forget to hit the website at design2create.org. That's design, the number 2, create.org. All right.
Oh, I have one more thing I need to say before you close. I have to thank my sister Francine as well. My sister Francine has been there through thick, thin. Oh my God, sand, desert, whatever, storm, rain, snow. She has come every year to visit my husband and I while we were away. She made I can't say enough about Francine. Like when I couldn't make it East Coast, she was West Coast.
Okay.
And I appreciated that. So I just had to, I had to throw that in there too.
All right. Well, family and friends together to work together and visit each other's stays together. All right. So somebody reach out and touch your sister, cousin, auntie, uncle, or grandma today. But find a family member and reach out to them and see how they're doing. That's your homework for today. All right, y'all. Thank you again, Miss Janice Parkins, for being on this episode. And thank you all for joining the Spirit of a Woman series. And see you all same time, same place next week, God willing. It's your time to inspire. Let your light shine. Bye.
Thank you.